Alright, so hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Wealth Building Journey podcast. So this is the show where we talk about real strategies to build, protect, and grow your wealth one decision at a time. So my name is Dennis Hilario with my co-host Paul Familara. So if you yes, so if you have ever thought about getting into real estate, or you've been curious about whether Airbnb is still worth the hype, then this episode is for you. So today we are joined by someone who's seen both sides of real estate game. So she's a seasoned broker at Robinsons Land and an entrepreneur managing her own portfolio of Airbnb units. From closing deals to building passive income streams, she's been on the front lines now. And she's here to share her lessons, strategies, and mistakes so you don't have to make them. So let's welcome to the show Miss Eileen Nebria. Hi Eileen, how are you?
Hello, Sir Dennis and Sir Paul. Thank you for having me in your podcast.
Of course. We will learn a lot of wealth building opportunities with you today. So let's go on.
Let's ask a first question kay Eileen. Siguro a bit of your background muna, a bit of a backstory para alam may context tayo of who Eileen is. So.
Yes. Yeah. Sige. Eileen, tell us about your journey and experience being a real estate agent and becoming an investor, business entrepreneur. No?
Sige po. So I'll give a little bit of my background muna. So I became a broker back in 2014, but I graduated college in 2013. So basically, I was inspired by my mom and her broker when I was a kid. Kasi nakita ko yung broker niya mayaman. So doon ako na-inspire. Nung bata ako, sabi ko, ay, parang gusto kong mag-broker. Kasi yun yung nakita ko na mayaman. Ganun. Then after I graduated college, I researched how to become a broker. And ayun, I've attended seminar. And then I tried to take the exam after. And yun, na-bless naman na makapasa noong 2014. And that's also when I tried to do freelance as a real estate broker. And then I had my first sale in September of that year, 2014. And so umpisa challenging. And I guess nung una, ang tinatap ko lang is yung mga low-cost housing. Kasi sabi nila when you start doing business, start small daw. Ganon. So ako, I started with that na parang okay, sige kasi nag-start pa lang ako, ang binibenta ko noon, mga murang house and lot. Since my mom is parang focused din sa mga house and lot. So, ganun. So, na-realize ko, but my first sale is a condominium in BGC. So, that's what I realized na you don't have to limit yourself pala kung ano yung pwede mong mabenta dito sa real estate or kung ano yung pwedeng blessing na ibigay ni God sa'yo. Hindi mo kailangang ilimit lang. And I started focusing on selling condominium. Pero before that ang dami kong tripping ng mga low-cost housing, ang dami kong binibentahan ng mga mura. Nag-focus nga po ako doon. Pero wala talaga akong nabenta. Pero yun, na-realize ko talaga na hindi natin kailangang ilimit yung blessing na ibibigay ni Lord. Na akala natin maliit lang, pero hindi. It could be something that we don't expect. So, after that, since I was still working in a call center at that time, parang sideline ko lang yung real estate, I continued to work in a call center for 2 years until 2016. That made me realize na yung mga commissions na nare-receive ko when I started selling real estate, yun yung mas significant na matutupad yung dreams ko. So, doon ako unang nakabili ng sasakyan. So, that made me decide to focus on real estate. So, 2016, that's when I started focusing on Real Estate International, which I joined as MDC. So I've been with them for like 7 years.
How young were you when you started?
I became a broker when I was 22. So I joined international sales when I was 24.
24, wow.
Yeah, 2016. Challenging din siya kasi market abroad. Number one, when you start doing real estate, tas yung own market mo, since bata pa ako nun, hindi mo pa sila para mabentahan yung mga personal na kakilala mo. Since yung mga age nila is kagaya ng 24, they're still building. But then, ayun, I learned saturation when I got deployed in Dubai. And puro mga cold market yung nabentahan ko noon. And yeah, it was a fun and challenging experience at the same time. Pero still, ma-stretch lahat. Pati faith, personality, hindi pwedeng mahiyain ka. Ayun po. So, after that, so in 7 years kay SM, I grew a lot. Kasi dun din ako nakapag-start mag-invest. 2016, I joined the company. 2017, that's when I got my first condominium with that developer. And then it grew in 2018 and 19 because I did resale as well. So I did flip properties. So I think nag-grow din ako dun sa flipping side. And then I also became a manager with First Park Homes in 2022. And then after a year and a half, I joined Robinson's Land. International din. So lahat international kasi may passion akong mag-reach out ng OFW for them to have an investment. Kasi na-realize ko rin na hindi naman lahat ng OFW is nakapag-invest in the Philippines and have that mindset na bumili ng property, whether it's an end use or an investment that could earn in the future.
So may nagturo sa'yo na OFW ang specific target market, kaya naisip mo sila, or nagkaroon ka lang ng parang insights or by faith lang na dumating yung pagkakataon na yun? Kasi ano yan di ba? Dapat alam mo yung target market kaya para ka maging magaling dun. So what gave you that insight?
Siguro kasi personal expectation, yung insight talaga, na na-realize ko nung bata ako, ang tingin ko dun sa pinsan ko, nung OFW kasi siya sa Dubai, kaya Dubai din yung unang country na napuntahan ko when I got deployed in 2016. Pero yung when I was just here in the Philippines, ang tingin ko lang sa kanya is parang maayos yung buhay. Ganun lang, inspiring lang na swerte or successful kasi nakapag ibang bansa and work abroad. But then when I get to see the life in Dubai and the life of OFW abroad, mas na-appreciate ko sila. Kasi pag nasa Pilipinas ka lang, hindi mo alam yung sacrifices minsan ng OFW sa ibang bansa na they get to still wake up early, umuwi ng bahay, asikasuhin yung household, bata, ganyan, mag-budget, magtipid, may mga bagay kang isacrifice na hindi mo bibilhin. Yung ganon, para may maipadala ka or may maipon ka or may maisupport ka sa family mo back in the Philippines. So, I've seen a lot of sacrifices ng OFW na feeling ko hindi nakikita ng mga tao na nasa Pilipinas lang or they don't get to experience na mag-work abroad. So that's when I become passionate about it. Kasi nakita ko na ay hindi pala madaling mag-work abroad. Yung ganun, yung iba hindi kinakaya umuwi kasi na homesick. It's not easy to be away from your family, and yung iba pa doon, they sacrifice na hindi makita yung anak nila for so long just so they could support monetarily. But for me, it has a big impact naman when it comes to your personal relationship sa family mo, lalo na sa bata. Yun. So, I guess na-appreciate ko ang OFW cause na-realize ko na malaking sacrifice siya na mag-work abroad. So, that's when I become passionate na convince them na it's important for you to have something at the end of the day.
Right.
Whether end use yan, kung may matirahan ka pag tanda mo. Kasi marami pa rin na nag-work abroad pero pag uwi nila ng Pilipinas, makikitira or wala man lang napundar kasi lahat ng kinita nila is pinadala lang nila sa kamag-anak.
Right.
Which is kawawa. Kasi alam mo yun, sabi ko nga, hindi naman lahat ng natulungan nyo is masisingil nyo pag kailangan nyo na ng tulong at the end of the day, diba? Kasi culture-wise, hindi rin naman kultura ng Pilipino na mag-invest.
Correct.
Like we were raised to have that employment mindset, which is sadly, kaya yung culture is pagtanda is kailangang suportahan. It's because hindi na paghandaan din yung retirement.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, speaking of this OFWs, no, especially yung mga, when you talk to them, especially yung mga first-time investors, no, what would you normally recommend to them? Like buying property for, say, long-term lease or flipping or parang short-term rentals like yung mga Airbnb?
Right now, siguro kasi I'm more of a believer ng long-term investment. Mas pinupush ko sila sa rentals in the long run kasi iba pa rin yung pagtanda mo, meron kang rental property.
Correct. Or titira nila, no?
Passive income siya. And at the same time, lalo na kung bata pa, no, they see themselves working abroad like 10, 20 years pa, which is hindi naman nila pa kailangan ng titirahan nila during that time. So ako, sinasuggest ko na build something that would generate income na lang muna. Kasi kung bibili ka ng house and lot, lalo na kung hindi naman in Metro Manila, kung nasa probinsya din yan, kasi yun na yung affordable right now, hindi rin natin mapaparentahan ng mas mataas compared sa condominium which is situated sa urban area or may market tayo for rental. Then we can make more money with that.
strategically, ano yung mga dito sa within, siguro Metro Manila or outside Metro Manila, ano yung parang magandang, ano ngayon, these days, no? Yung parang medyo undervalued property pero maganda yung potential.
Undervalued? Siguro yung may potential na lang outside Metro Manila.
Okay, sige. Ano yun?
We have house and lot project somewhere in Baliwag, Bulacan. Ayun, so fast selling project namin yun since affordable pa. Nasa around 3 million lang yung townhouse namin doon, and for a single attached around 4 to 5 million. We also have house and lot in Tarlac. May lot tayo sa Lipa, Batangas.
Oh, I'm here.
Yes, but it's also it's a high-end community.
Okay.
Hindi siya pala affordable na. But okay din siya for investment, and iba kasi yung market doon. It's a Forbes estate development or community. So, ibang market naman siya. And then, may lots din tayo sa Puerto Princesa. So, depende sa location din na gusto ng client. We also have condominium in Cebu and also majority here in Metro Manila.
So, yung question ko kanina na dapat ko tatanungin was, yung formula about OFWs is that, sabi mo nagkaroon ka ng insight na mataas yung sinasacrifice nila, tapos pinapadala nila sa Pilipinas, ayaw mong masayang yun. Ayaw mong masayang yung pinaghihirapan nila. Tama? Di ba yun yung parang ano? Pero aside from that, I think nakita mo rin yung value na kasi mas mataas ang income potential nila. So, ibig sabihin, kung mataas ang income potential nila, mas mataas din yung capacity nila na mag-invest. Kung sa Pilipinas mo ibebenta yon, hindi naman mataas yung income potential ng Filipinos unless otherwise. Kahit na siguro nga manager na yung position mo, dapat siguro senior manager para may income potential ka na makaka-invest ka, di ba? So, yun yung nakita mong formula.
Yung mga IT dito, pwede naman dito yung mga IT, ganyan. Yes, nakita ko yung potential na yun. Afford nila. But yun nga, hindi naman lahat ng nag-work abroad or nag-work right now is afford talaga. But definitely, there is a market. Kaya our company is sending us out there.
Dahil doon sa sweldo nila, pag kinonvert mo sa peso, tapos peso yung investment sa Philippines, mas mataas.
But also, yung lifestyle din ng tao na nakatira doon. Kasi syempre, halimbawa, nakatira ka nga sa Dubai, pero you get to spend dirhams din naman. So, mataas din yung expenses po. So, yeah, kaya importante talaga na parang ginaguide din sila financially. Kasi kahit isipin natin na afford nila, but then if yung lifestyle nila is also high, which also could affect their capacity to invest or buy property.
Oo. So yung question ni Dennis kanina, ano yung mga opportunities for OFWs? So kung bibigyan natin, ina-narrow down natin yung the type of investment property na mas mataas yung potential. Bigyan mo ako ng siguro 3 siguro na pwede mo i-recommend.
May project kami right now, which is Mira. Yun yung pre-selling project namin, which I guess would be a good start for OFW to invest. Most especially if startup investor pa lang sila or first time nila mag-invest. Kasi yung studio namin doon, our down payment is around 14,000 pesos per month. 1 bedroom would be around 20,000. And then we have 2-bedroom units then, which I sold in Dubai for around 27,000 pesos yung down payment. So it's gonna be like affordable pa din sa kanila na mag-start ng down payment
na pwede ka pang magtabi ng pera mo para ipadala sa Pinas on top of investing that money for real estate, tama?
Yes, tama. Yun yung maganda rin kasi kapag pre-selling pa yung project is mas mababa pa yung down payment. Mama-maximize yung payment term na mas mahaba kasi since it will take like around 5 years, 6 years bago pa naman matapos talaga yung building. So, we can take advantage of that stretched payment term, which make it easier for them to start an investment. Yung hindi na, yung iba kasi may mindset na, ay, kailangan ko muna mag-ipon ng 1 million, 2 million bago mag-start. So ako sinasabi ko, hindi nyo naman po kailangang mag-intay, magkaroon ng 1 million or malaking amount of money to start. Kaya nga, may mga payment terms na affordable para as early as now, nagkakaroon ng forced savings din yung mga tao. Kasi technically, hindi rin naman ganun kadali mag-ipon ng ganong amount of money for you to invest, di po ba? So ayun, people can take advantage of that. And also, So recently, while I was in Dubai, we've launched a lease to own, which is a good thing kasi you can take advantage of, though it's a lease, pero in 10 years, you can own the property na after leasing the property for 10 years.
When you
At
say own,
0%
siyempre
interest.
hindi pa naman siguro mababayaran pa na completely yon after 10 years. Pero when you say own, it will be under your name na. So pwede mo na siyang start pa rin.
Siya dapat. Kasi yung buong amount po ng property is divided into 120 months without interest. So, babayaran mo siya in 10 years. Pero yung contract nun is lease pa lang. Parang lease agreement. But if matapos mong bayaran yung 10 years, it will be converted sa contract to sell.
I see. Kasi lease agreement kasi built na siya na property.
Yes, for ready
Built
for
na siya.
occupancy property.
Kaya pwede mo na parentahan. Yun ang maganda, di ba? Parang hinihiram mo lang muna yung property hanggang sa mapagkitaan mo and then eventually ma-own mo na siya para makuha mo yung capital gains niya.
Actually, yun po is bagay siya sa mga may anak sa Manila na nag-aaral, ganyan. Kasi since lease to own siya, technically, bawal siyang isublease.
Hindi pa siya
So, for end-use yung market. For end-use po yung market. Kasi endless siya. Pero, after 10 years, that's the time na pwede mo na siyang iparentahan or i-resell. Pwede mo ring ibenta ng mas mahal. Kasi contract to sell na siya. Technically, you own the property na. So that's when you get to decide na ibenta ba ng mas mahal or parentahan na that time. But the opportunity that I see here is hindi mo na kailangang mag-loan. And I think we can also tap yung market ng mga retirees na. Yung tipong nasa age 55 na, malapit na mag-retire in the future so they can get their property ng walang interest na babayaran lang nila in 10 years.
So Eileen, so say for example, I'm ready to purchase na, no? Or avail of your properties. Ano ba yung mga kailangan kong i-prepare to make sure na una, yun nga, makabili ako at the same time, masustain ko yung pagbabayad nung, especially sa loans, no?
So, during down payment naman, kailangan lang upon reservation is ID and all the forms will come from us and yun lang, proof of reservation. But after that, after down payment, yung balance, for you to get a loan sa bank, you have to prepare yung mga proof of income. Kasi doon din i-base whether i-approve ng bank yung loan mo.
Okay. Ano yan?
Based on salary and income.
Usually, how long is the checking of the bank and approval?
Mabilis lang. In 2 weeks, upon submission of the requirements, pwedeng malaman whether you're approved.
Okay. So, under Robinsons Bank to?
Right now, merge na tayo with BPI. So,
okay.
Pwede either. Pero all major banks naman. We don't limit lang kay BPI, pero BDO, RCBC, lahat ng major bank dito in the Philippines.
So, nasabi mo, in 2 weeks, pwede kang ma-approvean. Is that because maganda yung income capacity mo or dahil pwedeng gamitin yung property as collateral?
Both. Kailangan may collateral, lalo na for housing loan. And of course, income din talaga yung titingnan ng bank. Yung salary and yung tenureship mo sa company. But it's easy naman as long as wala kang credit cards na hindi nabayaran here in the Philippines or mga properties na or sasakyan na nahatak or yung basta okay yung credit standing mo.
Kaya mas bata, mas maganda kasi wala pang mga ganong experiences no?
Yes, and isa pa, nagmamatter din po pala yung age. So halimbawa, 60 ka na, mahirap nang mag-loan kapag ganun kasi may cap lang or maturity na 65 or yung ibang bank they allow 70. Ayun po. So mas bata talaga maganda. At saka ako, I encourage them kasi pag bata ka nag-start, ibig sabihin kahit mag-loan ka, bata ka matatapos. Sa loan.
Like I think experience mo yan di ba? Experience mo yan and you can speak from experience.
I'm just curious, Eileen, ano yung parang metrics or statistics ng mga, naging buyers ng mga properties? No? I'm talking about the market in general, no? Na hindi nila natutuloy yung pagbabayad. And what's the major reason bakit? Kung meron ka lang data dyan,
Most of my cancellation are clients na before nabentahan ko sa Dubai.
And then what is the main reason why?
I think because madali kasing magbago yung isip ng tao doon. I think it's because of the lifestyle that they get to have in UAE. Sometimes yung investment, hindi na nila napaprioritize. Kasi mataas talaga yung gastusin sa UAE.
Or marami sila naiisip na pwedeng pagkagastusan. Like,
Yes, tas yung travel, ganun. Pas yung luxury ng life na yung ganyan. At saka isa pa, pag tinitingnan nila yung loan term na 15 years silang engaged doon, na kailangan nilang tapusin yun. Minsan doon umaayaw na sila. Yung ganun, parang ay, ayoko na yan. Yung parang ayaw na nilang, hindi na nila kaya mag-commit sa ganun. Kahit na natapos nila yung down payment pero dadating na yung loan, parang nagbabago na yung isip nila kasi I think ayaw nila nung ganong responsibility na matagal.
Pero may gut feel out of 100, ilan na nagka-cancel?
Out of 100?
Or out of 10 na lang?
Say percentage.
When I was deployed there, siguro around 30 to 40%.
Malaki din, ano?
70,
Yeah, for me, it's a significant number. Pero hindi talaga naiiwasan yan. Wala namang accounts na, I mean, perfect talaga na walang nagbagong isip na client or what. Nangyayari talaga yun. So,
Pero well, the reason why I asked this because, kasi we would like to encourage everyone na pag, kung magkukumit sila dito, kasi masasayang yung investment nila, tama, no? They won't be able to refund the down payment and those things. Tama ba yung assumption ko?
We have Macedalo naman. If 24 months silang nakapagbayad, they can have 40 to 50% of their payment refunded.
Okay.
Pero
So
hindi 100% kasi it's not like a bank na naglagay ka ng pera and you can withdraw anytime. Of course, may mga losses din yung company doon and yun, may mga expenses din naman yung company.
Right. So what's
Pero may chance silang i-resell na yung property lalo na kung handover, malapit na sa handover, di ba? Meron
pwede rin namang
kunyari, sabi mo, natapos na yung down payment, hindi nila itutuloy yung, let's say, 70% or 80% pa na part ng property. Pag ni-resell nila yon, meron na silang kita, kahit konti. Bawi pa nila yung, investment.
Yes, pwede rin naman nilang i-resell yung property kesa give up na lang talaga.
Yeah.
So, what's your advice sa mga taong gustong bumili and strategy para masustain nila yung pagbabayad niyan hanggang matapos?
Siguro kailangan talaga don't let fear stop you kasi pag inisip mo yung fear na sustainable ba to, nakakatakot, 'di ba? Pero yung dedication na talagang or commitment na once you start, you have to finish, and before ka rin mag-start, you really have to check if kaya mo tapusin kasi sayang if in the middle ayaw mo na or may iba ka ng commitment. Ayun, sayang yung sisimulan natin. Pero ayun lang, I guess it's really a commitment na kapag may sinimulan ka is gawan mo ng paraan para matapos.
Correct.
Gawan mo ng paraan. Pero kasi pag OFW, di ba, siyempre, pag nawala ng kontrata na iba yung trabaho or kagaya niyan, may shake-up sa economy ng isang country, meron ba kayong parang fail-safe support sa kanila na, sige, wag muna bayaran 3 months hanggang makabalik ka sa trabaho. Pwede ba yun?
It doesn't normally happen, but nung pandemic naman, yung mga developers have been more lenient when it comes to cancellation. Hindi naman sila basta-basta nag-cancel. And they also offer yung mga restructure na payment or mag-recompute gano'n. So, pwede naman siya. Pero it's true. Factor din yon yung nawawalan ng work, ganyan. Pero ako, sinasabi ko rin, kahit naman mag-invest or hindi, yung risks of you losing the job would be there.
Yeah.
'Di ba? Iba lang yung nawalan ka ng trabaho and may responsibility kang bayaran. So ang impact nun is maghahanap ka ulit ng trabaho. Rather than dahil easy life lang, wala kang responsibility bayarin, kahit nawalan ka ng work, ang mindset mo is okay lang. Okay naman, wala naman akong responsibilidad kahit na 6 months akong walang work, pahinga muna ako, ganun. So may mga ganun po, 'di ba? So lang talaga, hassle lang.
Right. And you go back to your why, no? Bakit mo siya ginawa? Bakit ka nag-invest dito, di ba? It's really for the future and securing nga yung mo. At the same time, passive income in the future. So, it's really hindi talaga sayang, no? Kasi may benefit ka talaga. So, just like sa insurance, di ba? When you buy insurance, ganun din naman yung parang concept nun. And ganun din pa nag-asawa ka, kailangan may commitment ka, di ba? For the long term.
Kung ina-encourage mo yung mga young adults, no? Yung sumisweldo na young adults, I think you start targeting, say, about 25 years old, 27 years old individuals, di ba? And the OFW, ibig sabihin, let's say, sumasweldo siya ng around 50 to 100,000 US dollars per year. So, equivalent yun sa between 1.5 million to 3 million, so to speak, no? 5 million pesos per year. So, malaki yung chance na talaga nila mag-start. Kaya lang, pag nag-start na, yung commitment to stay is really hard for them to do. Dahil nga, bata pa, marami pa akong pwedeng gawin. Bakit yan ang, parang nagkaroon ako agad ng anak na may pa-diaper at saka pagatas, di ba? Kasi dun mo ilalagay yung pera mo. Tatabi mo na yun para mabayaran na matagal. Ang question ko is, gusto ko talaga makita yung motivation kasi what we're trying to do here is find out, ano pa bang mai-advise natin sa kanila na, let's say, na-encourage natin sila mag-invest sa real estate. Ano yung gusto mong makita nila in the future? Para sabihin nila na, hahabulin ko to. I think what I'm trying to lead at is, hindi lang yung capital gains ng property. Yung opportunity ng passive income. Di ba? Na pag nabuo mo yun, mapaparenta mo, mapapa-Airbnb mo, and then may capital gains pa yun. So double kita ka doon eh. Di ba?
Yung vision na pagtanda mo, how do you see yourself pag nag-retire ka? If wala kang na-invest na anything or if wala kang passive income.
Pero hindi kasi nakikita ng mga tao yun eh. Medyo, most of the people, if you do not set their mind properly, hindi na lang tinitingnan yun dahil bahala ng Diyos bukas, di ba? Pero kung na-explain mo yun properly, kasi ganito yung mga insurance companies na, di ba, Dennis, no? Na in-explain nila yung future, di ba? Ano iiwan ko sa anak ko? Ano ibibigay ko? So, they can now sell insurance wherein this person pays monthly forever. Diba? Kasi ang iniisip nila, pag umalis ako, at least may maiiwan. Dapat siguro ganun din eh, no? Ang mindset na i-set natin sa mga buyers ng real estate is, this is just like insurance because once you finish this, or even if you don't finish, nag-appreciate ang value ng real estate. And then meron siyang other form of income opportunity, which is the rental, the passive income part. Correct me if I'm wrong there, and then maybe you can expound on that.
Tama, sir. Actually, that's actually more relatable in my own experience.
Yeah.
Kasi, I had an accident 2016. And yung mindset ko noon is, oh my gosh, wala pa akong insurance. And kung mamatay ako that time, parang anong may iwan ko sa anak ko. So, after that incident, after a month, nag-sign up agad ako ng insurance. Pero also, na-compare ko, since I'm doing real estate, dito kasi sa real estate, number one, kahit na may loan ka, may insurance pa rin yan, mortgage redemption insurance. So, if anything else fails, magiging fully paid yung property, mapupunta sa beneficiary. So, ako, parang na-compare ko, alin yung mas okay. Kasi ako, single mom ako eh. May 15-year-old na akong anak right now. Pero nung mas bata pa siya, so iniisip ko rin yung future ng anak ko. Kung may mangyayari sa akin, alin ba yung mas okay? Yung may makuha siyang one-time na money or may makuha siyang fully paid na properties na nagge-generate ng income na mas sustainable.
Oo.
Kasi one time lang yun eh. At saka isa pa, ang property may enjoy mo habang buhay ka pa. Di ba? Ang insurance naman para sa mga naiwan mo. Pero ano ba yung something na habang buhay ka, ikaw naman yung mag-e-enjoy muna. Yung parang, ikaw naman. Kunyari,
di ba? May nabili kang condo na sa 32nd floor overlooking Antipolo or whatever, Pasig. Siyempre, yun magagamit mo na nakita mo, pinagpundara mo. Pero kung insurance, bayad ka ng bayad. Pero alam mo na, hindi yun mag-activate until nawala ka.
Yes. So, parang ang pinaghahandaan mo nun is yung may iwan mo. So,
it's a good angle, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yun nga, yung maganda sa real estate is you get to earn. And ako, like right now, I have loans. Dami loans with it.
Of course.
Pero,
loans. Yeah,
lakas ng loob lang mag-loan. But then, I get to have the property earn for itself. So, kahit na may loan ako, it doesn't affect, thank God, it doesn't affect my finances right now. Kasi,
may cash flow.
Yeah, may cash flow. Kasi, kumikita naman siya ng kanya. And, yun yung pinambabayad ko sa utang niya, sa loan niya. Pero, ang maganda doon, after 8 to 10 years from now, fully paid na siya. So, passive income na siya.
Passive income, yeah.
Sa akin. If I did not do that, wala akong passive income 10 years from now. And yung portfolio natin, hindi rin lalago. Magkano lang ba yung ininvest ko doon that time? Down payment lang. Pero after turnover, pera na ng iba, yun talagang pinambabayad ko. Pero, sinasabi ko nga, there will be months na ikaw yung mag-shell out from your own pocket. Pero pag na-set up mo naman siya as business talaga, kailangan ang mindset mo is kumita talaga yung property. Ayun. So, hindi lahat ng property is investment kung hindi naman siya nag-generate ng income. But if your purpose is really to invest, then gagawa natin ng paraan para kumita siya ng pera.
So, ina-advise mo rin na may properties na dapat ilaglag mo yan kasi parang hindi siya nag-generate. Meron bang nangyari sa iyo na invest kami, binitawan mo na yung property na yun?
So far naman po, yung lahat ng ininvest ko is hindi ko binitawan. So far.
Productive.
Opo, productive naman. Though I have these 2 townhouse na kaka-turnover lang this year, January. And then, kakakabit lang ng kuryente last month. So, ayun, ito na lang yung vacant ko na property. Pero mura lang naman siya. So, it wouldn't affect so much kung may tenant or wala. Pero, it would be nice if makunan ko na rin ng tenant.
Oo. Hihingan kita na advice kasi meron akong property na ipaparent nga. Di ba na-mention ko sa'yo? My house. I started cleaning it up and everything. Konting ayos. This is a house, no? So, 3 bedrooms and all. And then, yung kanina na-mention mo yung mortgage redemption, I'm looking for the right insurance. Kasi ever since nag-invest ako ng properties, wala akong mortgage redemption insurance. Talagang asa lang na kayang tapusin. Di ba? And by God's grace, natatapos naman siya early because of business opportunities. So, meron kang income. Pero, I think I have to think smart again looking at that, no? Kasi meron akong investment na condo. I think I want to put a mortgage redemption insurance and that ma-advisean mo ko later on kahit text mo na saan ka kukuha na hindi
so right now naka-loan pa siya? Ongoing pa yung
loan?
Okay. Sige po. Pag-usapan natin.
Sa mga properties, no, ano yung mga dapat mong tingnan na red flags, no, before investing on a property?
Red flag, siguro number 1, location. At saka yung purpose mo. If it's something na long-term or short-term rental, if yun yung depende sa investment purpose. If long-term or short-term, halimbawa kung short-term Airbnb, why would there be people renting daily or short-term location?
Okay.
Number 2, for long-term market rental, malapit ba yan sa offices? Sino yung magre-rent dyan ng yearly? So, kailangan target market, alam mo. Number 3, kung capital appreciation, ang titingnan mo, development. So, ano bang meron dito sa area na to? Bakit ko to pwedeng i-flip? Kasi hindi naman lahat ng property is madaling i-flip. Lalo na kung wala namang development sa area. So, anong magiging factor nun? Ba't tataas yung value? Diba? So, malaking factor na titingnan mo is yung development. Kung may malaking development ba para ma-flip mo siya in the future. So, yun yung mga consideration bago ka bumili. You have to check the purpose din. And also, you have to check the number 1, credibility ng developer. That's also important kasi we don't want to invest into something na hindi naman matatapos, ganyan. So, kaya ako, I only market yung mga big developer na para less yung risk sa mga ganong problem. Maintenance, if na-maintain ba ng developer yung property, yung building, kasi magiging factor din yan in the future bakit pwedeng tumaas or bumaba yung value ng property if hindi siya maintained.
Saka yung support, no? Yung, di ba meron kayong support in terms of paghahanap ng renters or pag-support ng pag-resell, di ba?
Yes, yung mga property management support or leasing department ng company.
Let's touch on yung sa Airbnb mo, no, na business. So, I think the question then yung ano ba yung biggest lesson mo doon? Probably yung mga mistakes, no, from running Airbnb units, or is Airbnb still a good income source ngayong these days, 2025?
Yeah, I would say na it is. But dito kasi I focus on Mall of Asia since puro doon yung investment ko. Makikita mo lang, it is a blessing na I started early in 2023. Kasi if ngayon ako mag-start, na ang dami nang nag-Airbnb, it's gonna be challenging for me to build my profile. Yung parang, halimbawa sa 100 na nagpapa-Airbnb, bakit ka pa mapipili kung kakasimula mo lang? Parang mahirap nang mag-start kung halimbawa baguhan ka, yung ganyan.
Ano yan? Dahil sa algorithm ng Airbnb yan?
Well, pag new listing naman, nakikita ko na mas pina-flag ni Airbnb ang mga new listing rather than yung mga old ones na.
Para matulungan nila ma-push yung mga bagong pasok, di ba?
Yes, para matulungan din nila yung bagong pasok. But also, tinitingnan din ng mga customer yung feedback, yung mga ganon. And also, may adjustment din sa price kapag sobrang demand and supply pa rin siya. nagkaroon din ako ng adjustment to that. But still, okay naman po. Nabubook naman siya. Hindi pa fully book right now. But I would say mataas pa rin yung occupancy rate. Kumikita naman siya. Hindi pa naman ako nalulugi.
Right. Pero yung management ng operations niyan, I guess the question there is that, is it really a passive income or parang meron ba siyang mga hidden na headaches when you do the operation yan? Or meron talagang nag-work na model where you hire somebody to operate it for you?
Hindi na siya headache sa akin. Siguro kasi I've hired right people. It was, I think, around January to March kasi yun yung nag-change ako ng assistant, ganyan. Nagtitraining ako ng bago kasi yun lang yung part na yun during that time. Pero after that, okay na yung assistant ko, kumbaga alam na niya. And then okay din yung mga cleaners ko. So hindi na. Okay na siya. Hindi ko naman sabing headache. Yun nga eh. Kumbaga, I'm thankful na kahit nung nasa Dubai ako, hindi ko na siya para isipin masyado kasi I trust them na nagagawa nila yung role nila.
Yeah.
So, I guess that's very important, hiring right people.
Right.
Lalo na ako na I get to go out of the country. Hindi ko sila para mabantayan. But then, yung tiwala sa kanila is very important.
Right. What's the usual model sa mga cleaners? Are you hiring them or parang per day lang ang bayad sa kanila? How's it like?
Fix ako sa kanila.
Okay.
So,
Fix
yun
per
din
month.
yung, yes, pero
may fix ka na kasi marami ka ng properties na kailangan linisin. I see.
Pero ano lang yun, basta may fix ako sa kanila. Ano sila talaga, hired talaga sila. Pero halimbawa, may extra akong pinagawa or extra unit na palinis. So another, ano na siya, another
additional pay.
payment na siya. Basta
Incentive ka pa doon.
may naka-assign na unit and then ito, may booking or walang booking. Parang ito yung assigned unit sa'yo, yung ganyan.
Oo, so overall, ano na siya, talagang kasama na siya sa cost mo, no? Cost of operations.
Yeah, may
Siguro,
fix.
yeah.
May assistant din ako na hinar ko na taga-ayos ng guest
Pero-
authorization form and responses sa mga sites.
Yung parang assistant mo para sa pagsagot dun sa Airbnb. Pero ang pinakamalaking challenge sa Airbnb, yung mga naririnig ko, ewan kung gaano karami yun. Kasi hindi ako nagpa-Airbnb. May friend ako, may Airbnb sa Cebu. Pero ang nasasabi nila yung nasisira yung gamit, di ba? Or iniiwan na madumi. Okay, may insurance. Pwede mo singilin din yung nag-rent. Pero may hassle doon is, sige, habang inaayos mo, walang renta yung time na yun, di ba? So, meron ka ba experiences na gano'n? Or
Yeah,
paano
it
mo encourage yung mga tao na, sige, okay lang yan kasi hindi naman ganun kadalas yan or something? I don't know.
Yes.
Tell us.
Siguro when you do business or any business, kailangan hindi ka emotional masyado. So, stoic, kailangan ganyan. Wala kang masyadong emosyon. Kasi, siguro kung emotional ka kapag may nasirang baso, may nabasag na ganito, puputi lang yung buhok natin pag nagnegosyo tayo. No? Parang there are things na we don't let ourselves be affected. Totoo yun, may time na, siguro ang malaking nasira lang before is yung sofa. So, palit na lang agad. Kasi pag nag-focus ka sa problem, parang hina-highlight mo yung problem, 'di ba? So, doon ka na lang mag-focus sa solution para nare-resolve siya yung problema. And yun, kailangan hindi ka emotional when you're doing business or in any business. Kasi hindi naman, lalo na kapag nagpaparent ka, hindi nawawala yung may masisira. Pero that's why, okay din kasi you can ask payment sa Airbnb, you can demand for payment. Also, kapag direct booking, ay required deposit 1,000. So, kapag may nasira sila, usually iniingatan nila kasi gusto nilang may mabalik yung deposit nila.
Oh,
Ganun.
yeah.
So,
okay. That makes sense.
may mga direct bookings din naman kami. So, yun, I really require 1,000 deposit para at least mag-ingat din yung guest na may masira kasi alam nila na may naka-hold na amount of money. Ayun. So, yun lang po. Sabi, I mean, totoo yun. May mga times na may nababasag na baso, ganyan. Which is yun yung usual. So, may time pa nga na may nabasag na figurine. Siguro ang bili ko doon mga 200. Pero, syempre, kapag bumili ako ulit nun, it will cost me like a gas or effort para bilhin ulit yun. So, I charge 500. Ganon. Sige, okay lang. Magpasag kayo. I'll charge na lang.
Kikita pa ako.
Yeah.
Ayun. So, yun lang po. Kailangan hindi tayo emotional when we do business. Yun din yung minsan na madalas na encounter ko na, ay, parang ayoko munang parentahan kasi yung mga gamit ko doon, ayoko na baka masira, ganyan.
Totoo yan.
Pero ako, sinasabi ko, ano po, hindi may iwasan yan. Pero kung business-minded ka, you really have to, risk yung gano'n.
Kasama na sa cost. I-incorporate mo sa cost.
Yes. At saka hindi ka, walang attachment sa property.
So for someone who wants to start an Airbnb business, ano yung parang general step by step to start?
Number 1, have property.
Yeah, definitely.
Mahirap namang magparent
Uy, diba, merong iba na nagre-renta ng ibang property tas yun pinapa-Airbnb nila.
Yes,
Business
pwede
model
rin
sa
yun.
States
Yeah.
yun.
Pwede rin yun. So,
Madali lang ba mag-create ng
ginawa ko
profile?
rin yun. So, right now, may sinasublease akong property and ako yung nagpapa-Airbnb.
Madali lang ba gumawa ng profile sa Airbnb as a host?
Yes, madali
Simple
lang po.
lang.
Kahit nga yung account mo lang ng Airbnb, pag ikaw yung traveler, so pwede mo na yun agad i-convert sa host,
Sa
switch to
host,
host, and then mag-list ka lang ng property. It's
Pero-
easy.
Pero required din mag-submit ka ng documents, legal documents, ganyan.
Right now, hindi pa.
Hindi.
I mean,
Talaga?
right now, hindi pa. Dito in the
Talaga?
Philippines. But I know there are some countries na kailangan na.
Yeah, ang weird lang because
Na mas regulated.
Sa Facebook kailangan, di ba? Yung business page. Di ba,
right,
Dennis?
yun sa Facebook.
And kahit sa Facebook, I get to parang get bookings.
Oo.
Okay din.
Kahit sa yung mga payment
Nag-book
gateway,
ako.
yung mga payment gateway, kailangan mo mag-submit.
Required.
Tapos, nagwi-withhold yung mga yan. Tapos recently, mga digital services, nagre-require na rin ng VAT.
May VAT
So,
na.
I don't know bakit hindi.
Ma-apekto ang
So far,
digitizing.
So far, hindi pa. Siguro, baka dahil sa podcast na to.
Makita tayo ng BAR commissioner dito. Oo.
Oo nga, no?
But yeah, so hindi kailangan. So kailangan mo lang maging host tapos yun lang mga photos, syempre magandang photos dapat mailagay mo dun sa 'di ba?
Yes. So, nag-invest din ako sa photographer. Kumuha ako ng photographer.
Okay.
So, did you train? O kasi di ba may training yan kaya mayroon siya si Airbnb may this is how you do this, di ba? So may trainer sila or meron din silang service provider. To be honest, every country meron silang service provider na pwede mo i-hire para mag-photography. You can do it on your own, di ba? May sinasuggest sila.
Yeah, right now, they are suggesting talaga mainly na kumuha ng provider nila. Pero parang pricey. So, ako may kakilala akong photographer, siya na lang yung kinuha ko.
Hindi pwede ikaw lang kasi baka hindi ganun ka-professional yung dating.
Kung kaya naman, kung marunong ka naman talagang pwede naman po na kayo. But also, sayang naman, if ginastusan mo na rin yung property para maganda, might as well, gastusan mo na rin yung photography.
I'm just thinking kasi about the Airbnb model, no? Naghahanap ako ng room sa Canada to go to kasi I'm meeting someone. Tapos, nakita ko doon, and I've known this for a long time already, na may Airbnb kasi na per kwarto lang. Tapos, naghahati-hati lang kayo. So, sa Pilipinas ba, uso din yun?
Yung room, hindi. Dito, hindi. Kasi cheaper naman kasi
Buo
dito
lagi.
sa Canada. Opo, buo lagi. So, sa Canada kasi ang sobrang mahal ng bahay. Kaya, per rooms din yung rental doon.
At saka mahal ang cleaning fee sa sa US at sa Canada. Ang mahal ng cleaning fee, halos kasi yung presyo nung renta.
Oo, totoo yan.
Yeah, kaya dapat ka doon. Minimum ka ng nights. Hindi pwedeng overnight, tas lugi ka sa cleaning. Tas
Yes.
overnight lang yung stay. Yun yung mga factors na kailangang i-consider.
Oo.
Right.
Dito ganun din nagmi-minimum din sila sa New Zealand. Parang lalo na pag holidays, no, yung mga days na very busy. Minimum of 3 nights ka. Hindi ka pa pwedeng mag-book ng isa lang. Hindi ka makakabook.
Mahal kasi ang labor sa sa first world countries
Western world, correct. Yung labor ang malahal.
Anyway, Sir Paul, may mga questions ko kay Eileen before we wrap it up.
Actually, maganda nga itong session natin kasi na-discover natin lahat ng mga attitudes, insights ng pagpaparenta, tsaka yung real estate investment. Ang last ko na question before we go closing siguro, Dennis, is meron kasing stock market na REIT, no? Dati yan nung like 10 years ago, wala pa yan. You invest directly to, like for me, I invest directly to Ayala stock market, Robinson's stocks, bumibili rin ako niyan. Pero ngayon, meron ng mga puro real estate. So parang pinagsama-sama na ng mutual fund type. Have you seen that? Have you also invested on that? And do you believe in, getting opportunity in that kind of market?
I think there is an opportunity naman. Pero personally, hindi ko pa na-try mag-invest invest in RIT. But, yeah, I mean, hindi ko pa po nasubukan. Pero,
Kasi kung believer ka ng real estate, alam mo na, okay, ito yung growth rate niyan. So, normally, ang REIT na investment, na stock is, sabi nila, between 7 to 15% growth rate or returns. So, maganda yun, 7 to 15% return. Parang average 12%.
then try niyo po invest sa...
Hindi, wala pa. Tinitignan ko nga kasi nga, right now, I go directly, investing properties, land or condo or house. So, yun yung mga ginagawa namin. Pero, in terms of stocks, hindi ko pa tinitignan yan. Dahil nakikita ko kahit na gaano ka, sabi nila na glut daw ang market sa Philippines ng condos and real estate property. Bakit ang nandun pa rin, nag-i-invest pa rin yung mga Mega World, Robinsons, Ayala, nandun pa rin talagang. So, may opportunity pa. And with that kasi, hindi ka na limited kung ano yung company na i-investan mo na real estate. Dahil sila na yung maghahanap ng real estate na i-investan. Ikaw, yun na lang stock na yun na i-investan mo.
Kumbaga, growth na lang yung inintay mo. Wala nang any other liability.
Kasi believer ako sa ganun may ibang
wala ka ng loan.
Yes. Oo.
Hindi mo kailangan mag-loan, di ba? Mas
Hindi
less yung
mag-risk.
Responsibility. I'll look into that then. Actually, gusto ko na rin mag-diversify yung knowledge ko sa investment Kasi parang for so long, focus lang ako sa real estate. Yeah, siguro this year, ang one thing na i-goal ko is matuto rin akong stocks para diversified yung knowledge natin sa investment. Pero kayo, sir, sa ngayon, ano yung, bigla nagtanong, no? Wala na. Pero ano yung company na inaano mo for stocks right now? Ininvestan mo?
So, meron akong stocks dito sa New Zealand, sa States. Mostly technologies and food, aking investment. Tapos, of course, hindi lang stocks. May mga bonds and everything pa, real estate and all. Pero pag stocks ang pinag-uusapan, lagi ko tinitingnan yung may movement, no? For example, may Tesla pa rin ako, pero meron din akong ETF ng technologies like robotics, AI, automation, lahat 'yon nasa isang ETF lang siya. Meron din akong stocks ng Bitcoin, hindi lang Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency. Pero sila na yung nagpapatakbo, hindi ko binili yung Bitcoin. Mas malaki kikitain mo. Okay, ito yung sample kasi. Kung kunyari bumili ka ng Bitcoin na $10,000 ang a piece. Tapos ngayon, $95,000 na ang isang Bitcoin. Isang Bitcoin lang 9.5 times na grow yung pera mo, 'di ba? Pero kung kumuha ka lang sa ETF ng Bitcoin, kung 10% lang ginrow niyan, hindi 900%. Yun lang yung kinita mo. Pero kasi malaki yung risk na dumiretso ka, hindi mo alam. Pero kung nandun ka lang sa pwede nilang paglaruan sa iba-ibang klaseng cryptocurrency, hindi lang isa, 'di ba? So, ang problema kasi kapag isa lang, tinayaan mo, pwedeng matalo yung isa.
Pero maximum 10% yung pwede mong makuha.
Hindi. I have grown like 40%, 100% on stocks. Depende kung anong stock. Like for instance, I have a 46% growth in the last 4 months on one stock. Hindi pa isang taon yun. Isa pa lang. So, ang strategy mo dun is to sell habang tumataas and then buy pag mura na naman. So just recently nag-sell ako ng ibang mga stocks kasi may tubo.
Yun, magko-coaching ka kay Sir Paul, pwede.
Ayan nga, another session, Sir Paul.
Ayun.
I-coach po ko, sir.
Sige, so siguro sa last question, Eileen, pang Miss Universe to So if you could go back to your younger self, what's that one piece of real estate or wealth advice na you can give to our audience?
Siguro yung hindi ko pagsisisihan is I start early as I can. Kasi parang looking back, if hindi ko sinimulan yun ng mas maaga, hindi ako matututo. Ayun. And I wouldn't have that confidence kasi hindi ko nalaman based on my experience. Kasi
may chance ka pa magkamali, Kasi bata ka pa. May chance ka pa magkamali.
Yes, exactly. At saka gano'n naman ako I take accountability sa action na if anything fails, number one, sinasabi ko, it's not gonna be my identity. I'm gonna be the same person, not based on what I have. Na kahit na, halimbawa, itong Airbnb, whatever happens to this, it doesn't define me. Yung ganyan. Kumbaga, if it fails, then matututo ako, 'di ba? Makikita ko yung mga reason why it failed. But also, if it grows, edi better. Kasi, I mean, natuto rin ako in a positive way and I'm also growing. Pero yun lang, parang sa akin, may ano kasi, parang mabibuild din yung character mo when you do something or when you grow into something and when you try something, mabibuild yung confidence mo. Like, if you invest early, you get to know na kaya mo pala rather than you asking if kaya mo ba. Kasi yun yung question ko when I was 26 eh. Kaya ko ba? So, ang ano nun, other side nun, if hindi ako nag-invest, maybe until now, I'm still asking myself if kaya ko ba. Na 33 na ako, 'di ba? So, it's a good experience kasi I tried and I did. And nasabi ko na, ay, pwede pala, kaya pala. So, ganun din for other people. Kasi sometimes it's scary when you start something. Pero, why not start, 'di ba? So, you get to see kung if it's a reasonable property naman, kaya mo naman monthly, you wouldn't be starting yun din. Don't start na for a wrong reason and kung hindi mo naman pa talaga afford. So, start when you can. And if you can, then do it with courage.
It's never too late to start, no?
Yes. And hindi talaga. Kasi hindi naman siya, wala naman siyang specific timeline eh. Pero mas maaga lang din, mas maganda kasi mas maaga matatapos and mas maraming option. And of course, property value grows. Hindi naman tayo intayin ng property kung kailan natin ma-afford eh. At the end of the day, nagiging scarce yung property, yung lupa, hindi naman dumadami. Yung tao dumadami, pero yung property, yung lupa nandyan lang. 'Di ba? So, darating at darating yung time na mas magmamahal pa talaga din yung real estate. Hindi tayo intayin or hindi na siya pababa. Kasi yung trend naman din ng property here in the Philippines is tumataas talaga yung value.
Right.
Kahit tingnan natin 10 years ago or 20 years ago. So, ayun lang, start early para at least may masimulan ka and may matatapos ng mas maaga.
Nice. So,
Pwede ko bang dagdagan yung question mo, Dens?
go ahead.
Ito lang. Question. Kung nag-stop ka na ngayon, dahil nagsimula ka, di ba, long time ago, nag-stop ka ngayon, will you say that you have been successful already? Like, di ba, ganun eh, dun mo ma-measure kung yung ginawa mo tama eh. Kung nag-stop ka ngayon, masasabi mo ba na okay to, naging productive ito? Kasi, syempre, ibig sabihin nun eh, may nangyari dun sa pinag-ipunan mong times na pinaghirapan mo. Yeah.
Siguro I would say na I have accomplished something naman. Kasi po, parang looking back, parang wala akong before when I was starting. Parang na-imagine ko wala naman akong capacity gawin yun dati. Yung ganon, parang hindi naman ako sinilang ng mayaman or may pera. Pero siguro dahil risk-taker lang talaga ako, malakas lang yung loob. Ayun, I mean, masabi ko na yung pagiging risk-taker ko, eh, may nagawa naman na mabuti kasi, kumbaga, I had property because of that. Dahil I took risk. So, masabi ko, if I stop now, masabi ko I've accomplished something.
Kasi gusto kong gamitin yun as a confidence building statement, no? Para doon sa mga nakikinig sa atin. Na huwag silang matakot kasi kung nung nagsimula ka tapos let's say biglang nag-iba yung state ng kanilang life at kailangan nila mag-stop sa ginagawa nila, masasabi mo na may success eh, di ba? Kesa kung hindi mo ginawa yun.
Iba yung feeling
diba?
mo na accomplished ka rather than dun sa may kailangan ka pang patunayan. Minsan ganun yun eh. You do something because you want to prove something sa sarili mo. Siguro I passed that stage na may kailangan akong patunayan. Yung ganun. So, yeah, siguro masabi ko na yun. May nangyari din naman sa pinagkaabalahan ko before.
So congratulations, you're a wealth building journey champion. Masasabi natin, di ba?
all right. Yun. So, if people would like to reach out to you, Eileen, where would you lead them?
Yeah, you can contact me. I mean, actually, you can add me or message me on my Facebook, Eileen Nebria. You can also contact me on my mobile number, 0917-912-2417. I have Viber and WhatsApp. And also with my email, eileenebria@gmail.com.
And then we'll add your details on the podcast comments also, no?
Oh.
Thank you po, Sir
All
Paul.
right. That was such a powerful podcast episode. So huge thanks to you, Eileen, for
Yes, thank
generously
you.
sharing your insights to us, and from navigating the real estate market to building real income, especially also in sa Airbnb. So if you found value in this episode, don't forget to hit follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Sir Paul?
Yes, thank you so much, Dennis and Eileen, for this very insightful and powerful, as you mentioned, podcast. Now, delving into real estate is one of the investment opportunities for all of us, for Filipinos, abroad or in the Philippines. Kaya huwag kayong matakot. Use the power of Eileen's example in life to give the same power. Parang Darna stone yan na pwede mong gamitin na ginamit ni Eileen. Diba? Yeah, Eileen, siguro your last say.
So, ayun nga. Number one, I want to thank you both po, Sir Paul and Sir Dennis, for having me here sa inyong podcast. And also, I want to encourage na kung you're thinking about investing, look for a property, contact me. I can advise kung ano yung pwedeng masimulan nyo na property na fit sa need nyo, whether it's a long-term, short-term investment, flip, or you want to use it as end use. I can help you start having your own property or rental business in the future. Ayun po. Thank you,
Alright,
Sir Paul.
thank you so
and Sir
much.
Dennis.
Thank you
so
guys.
much.
Thank you,
All right,
Eileen.
bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you po.